In the ever-evolving landscape of gaming, features like cooperative play and cross-platform compatibility have become increasingly sought after. Technological advancements have made these features more feasible, yet their implementation remains inconsistent across titles. A prime example is From Software's upcoming Elden Ring Night Reign, a standalone co-op action experience set in the Elden Ring universe, scheduled for release in 2025. Despite its focus on cooperative multiplayer, Night Reign will not support cross-platform play. It will allow cross-generational play within the same console family, but not between different platforms like PlayStation and Xbox. This decision mirrors the original Elden Ring, which also lacked cross-platform support, limiting multiplayer interactions to the same platform or console family. The absence of crossplay in such high-profile titles raises questions about the challenges developers face in implementing these features, especially as technology continues to advance. In this video, I want to explore the complexities associated with integrating co-op and crossplay functionalities, and why most, if not all, modern games do not support these features. Co-op and crossplay might seem straightforward, but the reality is much more complex. Take Gotham Knights for instance. Despite being marketed as a co-op superhero game, its implementation was limited to only 2 players and a 4-character roster. Why? The developers explained that scaling the city's mechanics for 4 players would have been a technical nightmare, requiring an entirely different infrastructure. Although they later added 4-player co-op in updates, this shows that even with modern engines, creating a seamless multiplayer experience in an open-world game is a daunting task. Building a game with cross-play compatibility requires bridging different ecosystems, each with unique operating systems, hardware configurations, and online infrastructures. Developers often rely on middleware solutions like Unity or Unreal Engine, which provide cross-platform tools. However, these tools only streamline some processes and require further adaptation for each platform's unique requirements, like controllers, interfaces, and network infrastructures. This increases both development time and costs. An additional expense comes from rigorous testing across multiple platforms to ensure a consistent experience. Games like Fortnite and Rocket League, which pioneered seamless crossplay, face these same challenges. Epic Games invested heavily in back-end systems to support their player base, while Rocket League underwent several updates post-launch to integrate crossplay functionality without disrupting the player experience. The integration of crossplay and cooperative features is often hindered by significant financial and business challenges. These obstacles can deter developers and publishers from implementing such functionalities despite growing player demand. This process involves extensive testing and optimization to deliver a consistent gaming experience for all users. The initial development expenses can be considerable, encompassing platform testing, additional resources, and specialized cross-platform development tools. Beyond development, maintaining cross-play features incurs continuous costs. Developers are responsible for regular updates, bug fixes, and ensuring seamless integration with each platform's unique requirements. This ongoing support necessitates dedicated teams and financial resources, which can be particularly challenging for smaller studios with limited budgets. Collaborating with multiple platform holders often involves navigating complex financial agreements. Some platforms may charge fees or require revenue sharing for enabling crossplay functionality. These additional costs can impact a game's profitability, leading developers to reconsider the inclusion of crossplay features, especially when operating under tight financial constraints. From a business perspective, the decision to implement crossplay is influenced by a benefit analysis. Developers must assess whether the potential increase in player engagement and satisfaction justifies the substantial investment required. In some cases, the anticipated return on investment may not be sufficient to warrant the additional expenses. prompting studios to prioritize other aspects of game development. For independent developers, the financial burden of implementing crossplay can be particularly prohibitive. With limited access to funding and smaller development teams, indie studios often face significant challenges in allocating the necessary resources for cross-platform compatibility. This limitation can result in a more focused release strategy, targeting specific platforms to manage cost effectively. The inclusion of crossplay or cooperative features is not merely a technical or financial decision. It also reflects the underlying design philosophy of the game. Developers often craft their titles with specific gameplay experiences in mind, and sometimes these experiences don't align with the mechanics or dynamics required for crossplay or co-op. Elden Ring is a prime example. Although it features co-op elements, the multiplayer experience is intentionally limited and asymmetric, designed to preserve the sense of mystery and difficulty. While the upcoming Night Rain DLC will embrace a co-op focused gameplay loop, it still doesn't include crossplay, likely due to From Software's emphasis on maintaining platform-specific ecosystems and gameplay balance. Many games are built to provide a carefully curated single-player experience. Titles like The Last of Us and God of War center their design on immersive narratives and personal player connections with the story and characters. Adding cooperative play or crossplay in these scenarios could risk diluting the intended emotional impact. Developers may opt to focus their resources on perfecting the solo experience rather than diverting attention to integrating multiplayer mechanics. Similarly, Stalker 2 is designed as a deeply atmospheric single-player game. GCS Game World, the developers, explained that their focus was on delivering an immersive narrative rather than diverting resources towards multiplayer modes. They believe co-op would dilute the tension and dread that define the Stalker experience. These choices reflect a philosophy where developers prioritize their creative vision over player demands for connectivity. In some cases, developers and publishers have been transparent about why crossplay isn't implemented. One of the most talked about cases regarding crossplay has been Sony's initial resistance to enabling it on PlayStation. The debate became particularly heated around 2018 when games like Fortnite and Rocket League pushed for crossplay between PlayStation and other platforms like Xbox and PC. For years, Sony was reluctant to allow cross-platform play, citing concerns about maintaining its competitive edge in the market. In 2018, during the IFA Electronics Convention in Berlin, Sony CEO Kenichiro Yoshida addressed the topic of cross-platform play, stating, "On cross-platform, our way of thinking is always that PlayStation is the best place to play. Fortnite, I believe, partnered with PlayStation 4, is the best experience for users. That's our belief." Sony's fear was that enabling crossplay would reduce the appeal of its exclusive titles and give its competitors an advantage. Fortnite, for example, was one of the first games to show the potential benefits of crossplay, and the lack of crossplay on PlayStation was a significant point of contention among players. Eventually, Sony relented, and later on it allowed crossplay for Fortnite and other titles like Rocket League and Minecraft. However, this initial reluctance highlights how publishers' strategies focused on exclusivity and platform loyalty can influence the decision to implement or avoid crossplay. Epic Games, on the other hand, is one of the few developers to champion crossplay, most notably with Fortnite. Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic Games, has been vocal about the benefits of crossplay, arguing that it helps sustain player engagement and ensures the long-term success of a game by increasing the player base. For Epic Games, the move to support crossplay aligns with their business model, where the focus is on keeping the player base as large as possible to drive in-game purchases and engagement. By making Fortnite universally accessible across platforms, Epic has tapped into an enormous audience, showing how crossplay can be a strategic business move. With all the corporate intellectual property, competition, and business decisions aside, let's look at some of the biggest missed opportunities in recent years. Elden Ring stands out as a game that could have benefited immensely from true co-op and crossplay. While the summoning system is innovative, it's limited in scope. Imagine how much more engaging the game could be if friends on different platforms could team up to explore its vast open world. Unfortunately, From Software chose to stick to its traditional design philosophy. Stalker 2 is another example. This highly anticipated sequel is strictly single player, even though its eerie open world setting seems tailor-made for co-op exploration. Fans have long dreamed of teaming up to survive the dangers of the zone, but the developers have remained focused on delivering a solo experience. Cyberpunk 2077 also comes to mind. Originally touted as a sprawling RPG with immense freedom, the game's absence of co-op or multiplayer features has been a letdown for many fans. CD Projekt Red had hinted at potential multiplayer additions during development, but these plans were shelved post-launch to focus on fixing the game's well-documented issues. This highlights how even ambitious projects can miss opportunities to bring players together. Despite these challenges, the future of co-op and crossplay looks promising. Advances in cloud gaming and development tools are making these features more feasible than ever. For example, Unreal Engine 5 simplifies the process of creating cross-platform games by providing integrated support for multiple systems. Games like Fortnite and modern Call of Duty titles have shown that crossplay can be a massive success, encouraging more developers to adopt it. Additionally, player demand is growing louder. Social media and forums are filled with calls for co-op and crossplay in upcoming titles. Publishers are starting to realize that these features are not just nice to have, they're increasingly expected in modern games. In 2025, gaming technology has never been more advanced. Cloud gaming, faster internet speeds, and powerful hardware have broken down many of the barriers that once made co-op and crossplay difficult. I personally think it's time for publishers and developers to prioritize these features. Players want to connect and share experiences with friends across platforms, and to enjoy games in new and innovative ways. The gaming industry has the tools, and it's times like these where I wish the industry had a much more open source nature approach to these features, but knowing how corporations work with all the intellectual rights, profits, marketing, and cost efficiency, perhaps we still have a ways to go. All I can do is hope that 2025 will be the year where co-op and crossplay become the norm, not the exception. Anyways, let me know what your thoughts are on this topic. Do you want more games to implement a form of co-op or crossplay? Which games do you wish had co-op or crossplay? Let us know in the comments, and I will see you next time. Take care, everyone.